Shalom Yeladim Metukim. This week is Parshas Vaeira, and I'm making this video to show you our Dvar Torah for Parshas Vaeira. So why do I have all these things? I have this cup with this red thing, and I have these frogs that I showed you before. I have a bag with a few other things. The reason is that every year when it comes to Pesach, we read on the Seder, we read the Haggadah, and in the Haggadah we get to a part that talks about the Aseres HaMakos. Aseres HaMakos, in English they call the 10 plagues. And where in the Torah does it tell us about the plagues? Well, it starts telling us about the first 7 in this week's Parsha, in Parshas Vaeira. So let's see, I have things that are reminding us that are like the 10 plagues that Hashem brought upon the Mitzrim, the Egyptians. Now, why did Hashem do this? This was not fun things. These were things that were painful even for the Egyptians. Hashem did it because the Mitzrim, Paroi, and all the other Mitzrim, they made us their slaves in Mitzrayim. And that made us very, very busy, and it made our life very, very difficult. And we were not able to do all the things that Hashem wants us to do as Jewish people. So Hashem sent Moshe Rabbeinu to Paroi to tell him, let my people go. You need to let them go. They have to stop becoming your slaves. They're going to leave Mitzrayim, and they're going to serve me, Vayavduni. They're going to serve me on the mountain, which means on Har Sinai. It's talking about that Hashem wanted us to go out of Mitzrayim and get that Torah on Har Sinai, which is what we celebrate in the Yom Tov after Pesach, on Shavuos. 7 weeks after Pesach. And Paroi said no. Why did Paroi say no? Because Paroi said that I don't know who Hashem is. And even if he did know, he doesn't think that what Hashem thinks, or what Hashem wants, or what Hashem says is important. Paroi said that he thinks that what's important is what he thinks and what he says. And it has to be between what Hashem wants and what Paroi wants. He's going to do what Paroi wants. He's not going to let us go. And in Torah it says even more. It says that Paroi basically said, he didn't say these words, but he basically said that he is Hashem himself. He says, Li Yori, I own the Yeor. Yeor is the Nile River. We'll talk about it in a second when we get to this. I own it. Va'aniya Sisini. And I made myself. Meaning Hashem didn't make me, I created myself. That's what Paroi thought. And he thought if he created himself, he doesn't need to do what Hashem thinks or what Hashem says to do. He needs to do what he thinks should be done. So Hashem made Aseres HaMakos, the 10 plagues, to show Paroi that Hashem created everything and Hashem runs everything. And therefore, everybody, including us, including Paroi, including everybody, should do what Hashem says to do, or what Hashem thinks we should do, even if it's not what Paroi wants to do. In the same way today, we should do what Hashem wants to do, not what our Yetzer Hara thinks we should do. Our Yetzer Hara is like Paroi. So what are Aseres HaMakos? The first one, this reminds us of the first one. It's a cup with this red thing, which is supposed to look like blood. Why? Because the first Makkah is Hashem made the Nile River, the Yeor, the main river in all of Mitzrayim, which is where the Egyptians got their water, and which is where the Egyptians got their fish, and which is where the Egyptians got water to irrigate, to give water to all the plants that they raised. Everything came from, a lot of things came from the Yeor, and Hashem made it become blood. So they couldn't find water to drink. They couldn't find how to give water to their plants. They couldn't get the fish from there anymore because the fish were dying, because fish need water, and if you put them in blood, the fish are not alive. And it was very, very hard for them. But Paro said after that, after Hashem stopped it, Paro said, I'm still not letting them go. I'm still doing what I want to do. So then Hashem made a second one, which is Tzfardea, frogs. And these frogs went all over Mitzrayim and into everything. They were very annoying and very loud. They made all these noises. And they went even into the oven. So when people tried to bake bread or to bake things in the oven, the frogs went into there. So they weren't able to cook. And when Hashem stopped it, Pari said, I am not doing what Hashem wants. I am going to do what I want. I'm not letting the Jews go. So then, what was the third thing I have over here is a comb. And what does the comb remind us? It reminds us of kinim. Kinim are little lice that some people get sometimes in their hair. And they itch a lot when they walk. They bite and they itch. And they wait to get rid of them. Today we use these really dense combs. And we try to get them out. And special shampoos we use. Back then I don't know if they had any of that. And the kinim were all over. And everybody was itching. It was very, very hard. And Hashem made that stop too. But Pari said, I'm not letting them go. So then the fourth makkah was Arev. What is Arev? I have this little tiger over here. And this one seems like a cute one. But the real ones are dangerous and scary because they eat everything. And they can even eat people. And if they don't eat them, then they hurt them because they're big animals. So Arev is a mixture of wild animals like tigers and lions and bears and all kinds of animals that are dangerous, and they were running all over Mitzrayim and scaring everybody and hurting people and eating people, and that was very, very hard. But when Hashem made it stop, Pari said, I'm not letting them go. So then after Arev, there was Dever. What was Dever? Dever was that the Egyptians had a lot of animals, cattle, like cows and lambs and sheep. And why do they need the cattle? Because that's how they made all the meat, all the food that they ate. Maybe also the milk they got from it, like hamburgers and ground beef and meatloaf and maybe different types of sausage and things like that. And Dever was that they all got sick and died. Like this one. Boom. They died. And the animals, all the animals that they used for food, or a lot of them, I don't know if all of them, but a lot of them died. And that was called Dever, or in English they call it pestilence, or which just means deadly disease in animals. And that was also very, very hard for them. Pari still said, I'm not letting them go. So then the next thing was Shrin. What is Shrin? Oops. Shrin are like these things. These are just pretend ones. I think I have a few more. They stick to your skin, and they're supposed to look like shrin, which in English is boils, which means that their skin got these red things that are hurting and burning and maybe also itching all over their body. And everybody was saying, oh, it was so hard to get the shrin, to get the boils. And they said, Hashem is making it. If you just let them go, He's going to stop doing it. But after Hashem made it go away, Pari said, I'm not letting them go. So then came Barad. What is Barad? These things. This is like ice. Instead of rain coming down, Mitzrayim got a whole bunch of ice coming down on them. And it was big pieces, and it broke things when it fell, and it broke their plants, and it broke their animals. And it was dangerous to walk outside, and it wasn't just ice, it was like this. This is like an ice cube, and we're supposed to put ice in it and put in the freezer. But what's the shape of it? It's shaped like a flame. Why? Because the Barad in Mitzrayim had ice together with fire, which was a nace in itself. Usually ice doesn't go with fire. Fire, when you put water on fire, then it makes the fire stop. But this was a nace in Barad, that it came ice together with fire from Shamayim, from the heavens, onto Mitzrayim, and it went and went and went. But Paroi, when it was over, Paroi still said, I am not letting them go. And those are the 7 makos that are in this week's Parsha. There are 3 more that we will read about in next week's Parsha, in Parshas Boy. And maybe I'll make a video about that one too. So that's the video for this week. Mwah!